Welcome to
Chats from the Peak,
where God's favorites link up. My name is Lara.
I'm Memi.
And this is Chats from the Peak. So thank you. If you are new here, we thank you for joining into today's episode. If this is your second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever time, thank you for being a peak seeker. We are so happy to have you. A little bit about Marriage Pinnacle. We have a marriage platform that is catered to millennial couples of color, where we curate resources to really promote strong, healthy marriages. We really believe that at the foundation, at the root of it, healthy marriages strengthen healthy families, and healthy families are the cornerstone of the community. Yep. So that is so important to us.
Yes, very, very. Thank you, Lara, for that introduction. So Chats from the Peak is basically our podcast branch of what used to be our Instagram lives. So if you've been with us for a while, you know we used to have Instagram lives on different topics where we had guests come on and talk about different things. So now Chats from the Peak is just an extension of that to reach even more people. Yeah. So thank you for that. Here we're going to talk about marriage, sex, relationships, intimacy.
All the things. And so today, we're talking about a topic that, at least for both of us, has come up throughout the course of our marriages. But the topic of marriage and friends.
Yes.
So we queuing in TLC. What about your friends? Are they gonna let you? Dang, we could have been on the same verse. Jesus, we tried.
It's all good. We'll try again later.
But yeah, so this episode is about friends and marriage. What people say, like what we've heard about it, expectations around friendships. Who gotta go, who can stay, all of the things. And so we hope that this episode is enlightening, but also we hope that it really gets people talking and having real important conversations about what your expectation is in marriage. And then also really like balancing marriage, but then also balancing like friendships as well. And then also kind of determining what works for you.
And what does that mean? Like, what does balancing friendships, what does that mean for like your individuality and who you are? Are you able to still be the same person you were when you were single? How does that change? How do your friends change with you along that marriage journey? So that is our topic that we're presenting to you guys today. And we always like to start our episodes off with internet chokehold or just something that we've seen going viral, something that we find interesting that's on topic with what we're talking about. So today what we're talking about is one of the Twitter debates. Like, there are a couple of Twitter debates that constantly circulate.
And Memi is a Twitter girl.
I love me some Twitter, child.
I love Twitter.
That is my happy place on the social media world and internet land. I love Twitter. So one of the debates you see a lot on there are, if you're out to dinner with your girls, right, and your man, like, stumbles in, or you run across him, or he's there too, and him and his friends, they pull up and they have dinner with you and your friends, does he have to pay? Does he pick up the bill for you and your girls? So there are some women that feel very strongly about this. And some men that feel very strongly about this. So what is that expectation, and what is your man's role in that situation? I said my man is not paying for the whole table. And to me, it doesn't matter to me if he pays or not. I don't care. But knowing my man, he's not paying. He'll buy a round of shots for everybody. He might get y'all appetizer, but he's not picking up the whole bill. He's not doing that. He's not doing that. But there's some girls that expect that.
I know some people who absolutely have the mindset that the man should pick up the bill. And like,
I'm not against it.
I'm not against it either.
If you want to, please.
By all means.
But it's not an expectation
it's
for me.
It's definitely not an expectation. It's not an expectation. Like, I am not telling my man to pay for all of your...
And I think the difference is that this is our money. So it's like when I came to the restaurant,
I was paying for myself. I was
already going to pay for myself.
Paying for myself.
I didn't plan on paying for all my friends.
Right.
So if he comes and pays for all my friends, that's like me paying for all my
pocket. That is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just find that very interesting how people were like,
no.
Oh, that's embarrassing if my man don't pay.
No. There's a difference. There's a difference between like, oh, it's my birthday and we're going out to dinner. My man was a part of that.
Yeah, so it's
the expectation is set.
Yeah.
That he's gonna pay.
Yeah.
But no, no, like he should not have to come
and pop up
and then be expected to swipe his card for all of the.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Unless he's just like balling, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a difference.
Unless he just got it like that.
And if he got it like that, I'm still gonna be like, no. But still,
because that could be a bag.
Yeah. One thing about you, give me a bag. Give me a bag.
So that could be a bag. What are you talking about?
Yeah, stop.
But that's a little softer. But
but no.
Yeah, so that's weird.
I don't think that has anything to do with like my friend. Now it's different, right? So like, if I was out with Tella or whatever, and like maybe it was like me and like a close,
like one person,
that's different, right?
Just be nice.
That's different.
Right?
Like, I got it, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. But like,
I can see that. I can see him doing that.
You telling me
it's like
there's 7 people at the table? And you know when Black women get together.
Oh yeah.
It's like the mafia.
Yeah, like we're hustlers.
We're ordering everything. 7 appetizers.
I have to taste everything on the menu.
7 appetizers.
Yeah, it's getting mad.
Meals, and then we can split a meal. Like, okay, you want to split that too? Okay.
Yeah,
so the bill is going to be astronomical.
It's going to be crazy. There's no way around it. And everybody's getting a cocktail or mocktail. Everybody's getting a drink, multiple.
So
yeah, it's bad.
My husband will now walk in.
Can you imagine? When he's not Bill Gates.
And just say, take my card.
Well, he's not Jeff Bezos. We give you my children's school fees.
Legit paying school fees for 2 months.
Oh, please.
Because y'all want to eat and discuss mafia things at the table. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's a bit mad. It's a bit mad. But like something like buying a table, back in our, back in our club days, when you buy a table, and
that's different.
And like all the girls come to the table.
Yeah, that's different.
That's a different
little
vibe,
different. That's different. Because guys were trying to flex back then too.
Exactly.
Like, I got all the baddies at the table.
Exactly.
Like, that's
it's
different.
a benefit.
It's a benefit. But like, no, I'm talking about. With our hard-earned money now, it's not the same.
The money that we should be using to invest. Priorities are different.
I'm spending on y'all.
So a lot of these conversations, you have to look at where they're coming from. A lot of them are younger girls,
which is different.
So it is a lot. It is definitely a different mentality when you're in your 30-somethings and you're, and we have different priorities.
Yeah, definitely different priorities. Yeah,
so that's funny and interesting.
Yeah.
So back to our topic, maintaining your identity outside of marriage. How does one navigate that? Because I'm thinking of a friendship as this is my friend, like this is who I am, like my friend is a part of me, right? Like that's an extension of me.
Absolutely.
So when we get married, I'm now an extension of someone else.
Agreed.
So how do you maintain that?
Well, I think just developmentally, right? Like when you go through like the life cycle of like a person, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, young adulthood, marriage, children, empty nester, as like the life cycle, it is a part, like before you get married is where you like kind of solidify your identity, right? Like this is the type of person I am, these are my beliefs, these are my values, these things I hold important. And then by the time you have now entered into the marriage, that you should be at a space where like those things are now converged, right? So like you are now meeting in the middle, or you have come to some like perfect happy medium of all of those things, right?
Yeah.
But still at the root of it, you are still an individual.
Correct.
Right? And I think, unfortunately, this is good and bad, right? Like, some people go to the extreme of like wanting to be completely identifiable by their spouse.
Yes.
And there are some people who have a hard time understanding that you now are attached to somebody else. So I think there are two like really extremes on the spectrum, right? And then there's the happy medium, which is like that balance somewhere in the middle, right? It might be leaning towards more being an individual. It might be leaning towards more being like combined, like entity or whatever. But like that middle is like the happy place, right? Yeah. But I don't think it's healthy to be in a marriage and assume the identity of your spouse. Yeah. Just like I don't think it's healthy to completely try to keep and maintain your identity, not realizing you are
now a unit.
Yeah. And I almost feel like it's almost like, you know, when you are like for people who are Christians, right? Like when you become born again, right? You take on a new identity. You are still your person, but you take on a new identity, right? Correct. And so you act different, you talk different, you know, things are different. And I think that is absolutely the same in marriage, right? It's mirrored, right? Marriage is a reflection like of Christ's love for us, right? But like I think it's kind of the same where you take on a new identity, but you can still be you at the core, right? Yeah. And things shift when you get married, which is why I don't believe when the older moms and the aunties make the statements like, you're married, you can't do the same things as your married friend, as your unmarried friends. Yes. I still believe there is value in those type of statements. Yeah. But I also feel like sometimes those things are rooted in like different things. Correct. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I still feel like there is some like validity to those type of statements where like, yes, you are a new, like you have a new quote unquote identity. You need to, there is a different way that you act. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah. I think I'm trying to like think of that. Like if that's something that I kind of, if I can relate to that. And I'm still thinking, I don't know. Because I don't know if again, I got married really young. I was in my mid-20s when I got married. So like that thing you said in the beginning about kind of having an identity before you get married, I feel like because of my age, I didn't really come into that yet. Okay. Being as though I got engaged at like 24, so I didn't really. Who was 24-year-old Memi? It seems like I really came into my womanhood as a married woman. Okay. So my experience of that is a little bit different because when I did get married, I still felt like me and Dr
were.
It still felt like it was still giving boyfriend girlfriend for a very long time. I think what changed was us having a baby and sort of like having to.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, we had a baby really quick. So, but immediately we're like, we have to grow up, you know, because we were the couple that we were having game nights at our house like on the regular, and everybody was spending the night getting blasted drunk, like. Our house was, even though we lived far, because we lived far, it was a weekend thing. Yeah. Like we'd wake up in the morning, our friend Dennis was making everybody banana pancakes. So we were like, because we were the first to get married, our house was like the convening spot. Oh, nice. And it was like all of our friends that were still single for the most part were like along this journey with us. Oh, nice. You know? Yeah. So Daphne's birthdays were always it was always a situation. Yeah. So my friends would fly from out of town to go to Daphne's birthday. And we're married, but we're still a part of our community, like deeply rooted in our community.
It is different.
So it's very different. So we weren't the kind that like got married and then it was, hey, we're married now.
Single friends.
We can't bang with y'all no more. It was very much like, we married, let's go. Yeah, like y'all are coming with us.
Come on now, hurry up and get married.
Like come along with us. Yeah. So I always kind of. It was always hard for me to relate when people would say, like, don't tell your single friends what's going on, or this and that, controversial one, or don't, you know. It was always very hard for me to relate because all I had were single friends. And so if I got to the point where I didn't talk to my single friends anymore, or I didn't share things with them, I would have felt like I was on an island. Yeah. I would have felt like I only had Dapple and my mother. Yeah. You know, and so. It was it was interesting. And thank God I've never had any like negative experiences or anything that kind of like proved those like warnings to be correct in my life. I've never had those experiences. My single friends have always been supportive of me. They've always given me amazing advice. Like my cousin, rest in peace, Yams, but she was single for probably about 7 years of my marriage, and she was my confidant. So she was the person that I would go to when me and Dr. were struggling, when we were fighting, when we were beefing, or when everything was good. Like, she was my confidant, and she always gave me amazing advice, and she was always like, you're tripping. She was like, no, Dr. tried it, you know, and I took her counsel seriously. She was wise to me. And so even though she was single and she was never been in a relationship, she knew me. So she knows who I am. And so she knows when I'm out of pocket. She knows when I mean well and I need to go to Dapo and tell him, express myself better. Because you ain't mean it like that, Memi. Like, just go tell him what you meant. Or, you know, and she always wanted the best for me. So I think, like, as we're talking about friendships, it's important. Wisdom.
Girl, at the root of it.
Wisdom is the word here. Is the word. Because I'm not going to say I was so wise at 25 or 26. I could just say I was blessed. But as I'm older now, I am wise. And so I know what the limits are. I know what I could talk about with my friends. I know what to share, what not to share. I know who to share what with. You know, like I was telling Lara the other day, I get some of my best like sex advice from my single friends that is, you know, outside. Like, they give me some of the best advice.
You need to differentiate like the levels of outside. You know? Like, okay. So your T-Wog level, and there's your single friends level, and
I think go to the last episode to understand the reference.
And then I think there's like the outside you want to be in, which is, again, there's extremes.
Partial.
You want to be like
in between, balance. I want to be balanced outside now, because you know I am getting older. You know,
30-something. Yes.
But so my single friends give me amazing like advice, and so I'm not ever going to just be like, oh, I'm not talking to her about this because she doesn't know what it's like to be married. Like, to me, it gives like this air of like, and I'm not going to say that for everybody because people have different experiences.
For sure.
So just because you say that doesn't mean you like think you're all that because you're married. You could have been burned. You could have seen people get burned. And so, you know, like I'm not ever going to judge people on how they navigate their friendships, but I just feel like you are able, in my experience, you are able to balance your single friendships, your married friendships, your husband's friendships with, you know, with all together. It's just a matter of like being wise about it, being smart, and just asking for favor in some of those situations.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and I think that at least I believe our parents are coming from a healthy they're coming from the right space when they say, oh yeah, don't share your relationship with your friends. Because to be honest, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like parents always say don't share your relationship with anybody. They be going to like the far extreme, like nobody.
They say anybody.
Don't tell anybody about your relationship. And I feel like they're coming from that space because they want what's best for us.
Yeah, correct.
Which is why African parents want you to be doctors and lawyers, and just because they feel like, okay,
they think they know what's best.
They think they know what's best, and those are careers that they feel like you will be okay.
You're certified.
So, and then they come with prestige or whatever. So those things do that. Just like this advice, I'm giving it to you because that's what's best. But I think that, it is one of the premises of it's like one of the tenets of our platform is community. Like we stand 10 toes down on community.
It's important.
Like it's important. It's important for you to have community. You know, we think about other people that are in the space with us, like, you know, Black Marriage Club, the social aspect of it, right? Like we want you to be in spaces with other married people and build community in the social realm, right? We're talking about it from like, okay, we want you to feel supported and feel like you have the tools necessary and be able to feel like you have a safe space to vent and voice some of the issues that you're having so that you do have a healthier marriage. Because the unfortunate part about our parents' generation is that a lot of them suffered in silence.
A lot of them.
They suffered in silence where they would be kikiing with their girlfriends, but they weren't talking about the real, and they weren't getting any counsel.
You would never know.
You would never know. Like, they're fighting with their husbands, you know, and then they're getting ready for a party and like acting as if everything was okay.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people say it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes one to maintain a marriage.
You know.
It's hard to do it by yourself.
Yeah, and I love that about our generation, because I think we are, not to say that they did not, and so again, we're generalizing just a bit, but I think our generation does see the value in having real conversations and seeking counsel from people who are in the space, but then maybe not in the space, but can give me sound counsel. You know, I think about a group in church that I'm a part of, the Wellwater Wives, and like you joined us last semester, where, you know, it's like-minded women. So all of us are in the same space, varying ages of years of marriage, but like in the same space, wanting to glean from each other. And so in that space, we are talking about real intimate parts of our marriages, right? And so you talked about it. It's like, I trust this group of women, or I trust these friends that I'm sharing this information with, and I'm hoping, and the expectation is that they would give me something, sound advice, or sound counsel to help my marriage. Correct. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that is the real difference between our parents' generation and ours, is where we do have more trust, but then we're also placing ourselves in positions where we also are able to filter what's for us and what's coming in and what's going out, but then what's for us and then what's not. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that I'm not going to, there's certain things that like I won't bring up to people, not because I don't trust them, but because I'm like, okay, I'm a psychologist. I already know.
I know what to do.
I know what to do here. I might not be doing it, but I know what to do here.
Yeah.
I know what to do here.
Yeah.
So I don't need to bring that up, right?
Yeah.
But it's not because I don't trust them. It's just because of like, okay, Lara, wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom.
Not just wisdom, but like knowledge as well. You have that. So that's not an area like, okay, you can get perspective, which I think is great.
Perspective is good.
Perspective is awesome because, and I think as a therapist, that is a lot of times what I bring. I'm hearing two people say, this is an issue, this is a concern, and because I have no stake in the claim, I'm able to give you perspective.
From a very neutral standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that about, like, we've talked about our friendships or whatever, where we do feel like we have people in our lives that will be neutral.
Correct.
That they're not going to just agree with us because we're friends, but they're going to tell us, like, rest in peace, Yams, she was able to do that for you.
She was.
So, married versus non-married friends. Do you feel like they relate the same or different?
So so it depends. Like, relates on what, right? If we're talking about, this is something that I am experiencing in my marriage that is unique to being married. Someone that's not married won't understand because they're not married. You know? So it's like, so this is how I look at it. If I'm sharing something with a friend, it's either because I want to vent or I need advice.
There's a difference.
If I want to vent, I just want to vent. So it doesn't matter if you're married or not. I'm just venting. I don't need anything from you.
That's a good differentiation. I think that you do need sometimes you just need a space to vent.
Sometimes you just want to vent.
Like, and
you
that
want to get off your chest.
Going back to like our parents' generation, like they did not have that outlet sometimes.
They did.
Like, just to vent. Like sometimes it is just heavy. I need a release.
They take it out on us.
It's cathartic. They take it out on the kids. It's cathartic. I released and I'm okay. You know, that's all you need sometimes.
A lot of times that's it for me because, like you said, like, I'm not a psychologist, but I know myself pretty well. So it's like most of the time I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I need to do. But I just need to get it off my chest. Especially when it's bothering and it's burning on the inside. I'm just like, just want to scream. Sometimes I'll write notes in my phone. Like if it's something I just don't want to share with anyone, I'll write, because I'm of the belief, like, no matter how you trust anyone, no matter how much you love someone, my mom has always taught me this. You don't tell anyone something if you're not okay with everyone knowing. So that is my
Jesus, I don't like that.
It's It's true because you can't control other people. So it's like once it's out of your mouth.
Ooh, child, that's a.
You know.
Can you repeat what she said? What she said?
My mom told me you don't tell someone something if you're not okay with everyone knowing. So it's
that goes. I feel like, and maybe I'm not bringing up my profession just to bring it up. But I feel like that goes against everything I stand for.
Of course, because you have an oath. You have to.
But
right?
even like outside of that, I think that's such a violation of trust.
It is.
Like you should not have that expectation.
Yeah.
Like if I'm telling you something, Memi, I should be able to stand 10 toes down and say, Memi's not going to repeat this.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that is, and again, I think that is where, and I don't know if that's naivety for me on my end, where I'm just like, because again, what I share with people is very limited anyway.
Exactly.
Not who I share is very limited is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So I'm tracing it back to only a few people.
Of course,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would be remiss to say that I don't believe those people are saying anything.
Yeah.
And so it's just, that is such a hard concept for me to.
I mean, it's valid. It's valid. Yeah. But at the end of the day.
No, I get what you're saying. No, your mom is, what she's saying are facts. Like,
human beings are
you shouldn't have said nothing then.
Yeah.
Basically, all in all she's saying is like, don't say nothing then.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how I am. And I'm a very open person. Yeah. Like, I think that's part of why this platform works, because I'm very, like, I don't have a lot of things that I am ashamed of or embarrassed about. Yeah. Like, I don't get embarrassed easily. Yeah. So it's I don't have many things that I will feel like, oh, someone is like, I'm an open book for the most part. Yeah, you ask me anything about my marriage, I'm gonna tell you. Like, there's not so much that I'm so like, oh, I can't share. Like, I'm an open book. So
okay, just stay with where you are right now, because I think that goes now to like Dapo though, right? Dapo's not necessarily not to say that he's like super closed off, but like he's not as open as you.
He's the opposite of me, completely. Yeah.
So like, how do you balance that? Because I think that like in your venting or in your openness, like you have to consider your space.
I do. Okay. And so what I do is I speak. I'm an I statement girl. I speak about myself. Okay. Gotcha. Right? So good. If Dapo does something to offend me, what I'm venting about is not that Dapo did X, Y, Z, 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 or he's this, he's that. Last time he did this. No, it's about he did this thing, and this is how I feel about it. It made me feel this, it made me feel that, it made me feel this, it made me feel that, it made me feel this, it made me feel that. I'm never bashing my husband. I'm never bashing him. Yeah. I'm not doing that. Yeah. So I'm not saying he's horrible, he's this. I'm not doing that. Because to me, that's disrespectful. Yeah. Right? Even if I'm upset, even if I'm mad, that's what the notes are for. So I want to know the difference. That's what the notes are for. The notes are to drag him. You understand?
For filth.
For filth. You feel me? Like, if he needs to be dragged, that's going on. I'm doing that with my thumbs, not with my mouth, you know, because those things don't change. Yeah. And that's another thing that I think that's important to realize. It doesn't matter who your friend is. It doesn't matter who you're telling. When you're talking about your husband and you're upset. So in that moment, you don't care because you're mad at him. You mad. So you're telling everyone, but those impressions that you're leaving, they don't go away. So when you forgive and you're good and you're moving on, those impressions, those pictures that you've painted are still there. For sure. So that's just wisdom. Wisdom, girl. It's the wisdom that you have to use when you are venting, when you're asking for advice. You know who to talk to. You know who's not going to hold a grudge with your man. Yeah. Like, again, not me. Not me. Not me. Because it's going to be hard for me to erase that picture. Yeah. But there's some people like you that are very neutral, where you would understand both sides. Yeah. And you're someone I would come to. Yeah. I wouldn't come to me. Yeah. If, I wouldn't. I wouldn't come to me.
Don't come to me.
Don't come to me. Because I would be like, kick him out. Get him out of there.
Whole platform. On weathering the storms in the valleys.
Weathering from over there.
Kick him out.
That's why we balance each other. That's why we need both of us. God sent me you for a reason. So yeah. But in general, you have to be careful.
That's very true.
About who you're saying these things to. Yeah. And I think what I'm learning in the journey is that, and just in my friendships in general, I try not to make it like about me. You know, it's about you and your journey. It's about what you're going through. So I try to be as listening and observant as I can. If you ask me for advice, I'll give it to you. But if you just want to vent, just vent.
Yeah.
You know, vent. If you want to know my thoughts, I'll tell you my thoughts. And then that's just it, you know? So it's like, I don't know, like when you're going through those moments in your marriage and you feel like you need someone to talk to you, of course a therapist is the best option because they do have your demeanor. Like they're neutral. They're someone you can trust. They're a vault. And so that is probably your safest bet. Yeah. But if you don't have that, you know, talk to your friends that you do feel like you can trust.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's like a fine balance of like what's too much
to share? Yeah, like I said, like I feel like bashing is too much. I feel like being disrespectful or saying things that could tarnish how people view your husband.
That's
you know, or your wife, you know, or your husband or your wife. Like you don't want to call your mom and complain about your wife to your mom. That is
recipe for disaster.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
What? Oh my God.
Good luck with that. It will never be the same. I can imagine if Daya called me and he was telling me that his girlfriend was XYZ. I'd be like, oh, she got to go.
We know.
Oh, she got to. you know? And it's like, it would be hard for me to be her same. So it's like the thin line for me is just being cognizant of what you're sharing, who you're sharing it with, and what is going to happen once you move on from how you feel right now.
Exactly.
Right? Because you're mad right now. You're pissed.
Yeah.
So what happens when you are no longer pissed?
Yeah.
When you have moved on and you're back to being lovey-dovey, what image did you leave behind?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's real. And I think, you know, not enough people use that like wisdom. You know what I mean? Like I feel like sometimes like your emotions are in a state. Like it's not permanent.
It's not permanent. It's temporary.
It's temporary. But the thing is, you've given me information that can now become permanent. And so you're telling me she's this, she don't do this, she don't do this, she does this all the time, blah, 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 vice versa. He does this, he does that. And now you've left that with me.
And so when I see it, that's all I see.
So now this is the impression I have of her. This is the impression I have of him.
It's not good.
I don't see any of the mending. I'm not there for any of the fixing. I'm not there for any of the conversations that have happened to now get you guys back on track. I just have this impression. And even when you tell me things are good now. I don't know, did he grovel? Did she grovel?
Right.
Was it like hard?
Has he done the work?
Has he done the work? Has she done the work?
Yeah.
I don't know. All I'm left to know now, all I know is that we're better. And this is not the first time you've come to me, or the second or the third. So do I even believe it?
Yeah.
So now this impression is painted in my mind of your partner. Of course I'm going to view her different. Of course I'm going to view him differently. You know, and I think that is where it goes to like wisdom. What's the Bible say? A wise woman builds her home. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can only talk about the platform from a woman's perspective, obviously. Like I said, we do mention this in various episodes that we try our best to be neutral. I do. She's already said that she's going to take a woman's side every time. That's okay. But
honest.
You're honest. Praise God. We do try to come from a neutral perspective and have information that's applicable to women and to men. But I think that this is a prime example of like I don't know. Yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard. You know what I mean? It's tough. And, you know, we know that a lot of times women are the ones typically venting. You're not really oftentimes you're not hearing guys general vent.
Correct.
You're not really seeing guys get overly emotional. That's not typically stuff that you were seeing. Which again, that's a whole nother topic, because I think that having those spaces for men, having those spaces to have real conversations, I believe could save a lot of guys from like suffering silently in their marriages to me. You know, I feel like there's not enough spaces for men to want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, interestingly enough, you know, and I don't want to digress too much, but like, interestingly enough, like, my cousin's chat, we were talking, and my cousin sent a post. These are my cousins. They're from New York, and they just.
I just think about your cousin chat when y'all talking about who's speaker.
Yeah, that's the same cousin chat. These cousins from New York are just like radical. They just, and I guess it's like New York as a state. They just are very different, right? And so he screenshot, one of my cousins screenshot something, and he said something along the lines of, the post said something along the lines of like, help me out, please. It was a guy who was writing a post to somebody. Help me out, please. I was having a really hard time, and on one of these days I ended up breaking down in front of my wife and was crying, and now I feel like she's viewing me differently. I asked her, she said yes, I don't feel like a man should be crying like this,
sis.
And it makes me view you differently. So yes, like it just sparked like healthy conversation.
Not on the woman's side with that one, no.
Praise God. So like this like sparked like conversation in our group chat or whatever, and like to me, and so like one of my cousins was saying like, no, I don't think that he should be crying in front of his wife. He should go to God. Like, I think that he needs to keep that, like, contain that and go to God. He can cry, but he should cry to God, not in front of his wife. And like, in my mind, I felt a lot of men probably feel that way.
That makes me so sad.
But it made me very sad because I did not understand, if I am in a partnership with you, I am married to you, I should be able to see you in all facets and all lenses, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to bring this back together where like, I feel like men sometimes do not, because of like sometimes this type of thinking, I don't have a healthy outlet.
They don't.
Oftentimes to vent or to share that I'm overwhelmed or to discuss that this is a difficult season. I don't have that outlet. And so I don't have even just the guy friends to discuss this with. So I'm not even talking about the crying in front of the spouse. I don't even have the outlet with the guys.
And even if they do, they don't even explore it.
They don't explore it. They don't
even explore it.
So I do have healthy guy friendships.
Yeah.
But that's not what we talk about. We don't talk about that.
Because we don't even know that that's something we can do. Yeah.
And then if it is like, oh, am I supposed to tell my wife that we were crying in front of each other? Like that is
not. I would think that was so cute.
Okay, and that's why they don't do it. Who wants to be said they're cute when they're crying?
Okay, not cute, but just like, but it's beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing. And there are very few, I don't feel like there are enough men who create atmospheres for that to happen, but then also like acknowledge that it's okay to do it in these spaces, you know? So I think that it goes back to like the friendships all around, right? That like, it's not just about like having friendships. It's like, what are you even doing within those friendships? So like us talking to our friends or venting to our girlfriends or whoever, it is because I feel like this person has my best interest at heart. And so I'm opening up to this person to get counsel. Not in some instances it's I'm upset, I just need to vent. But then in others it's like, tell me I'm not crazy. Or if I am, check me if I am crazy.
Exactly.
Check me if I'm crazy.
That's another big one. Like, am I tripping?
Yeah, and I don't feel like guys have that.
No, I agree. Definitely don't.
Yeah.
Not at least not the guys I know.
Yeah. So, you know, what would you, and so like saying that with friends, but like, have you ever been in a situation like where maybe Dapo didn't like?
A friend of mine? No.
Same.
Not, I've never experienced it. No. Yeah, not really. Yeah. I mean, most of my friends, we grew up together, kind of like we all went to school together. So when we were in school, we were like a
all
crew.
Of you.
Yeah. So we were like, my friends were friends with his friends, and his friends were friends with my friends. So we were like a little family.
No, y'all was deep, and y'all maybe still are, but y'all. I remember
we were, but you know, times change. Yeah, people get married, people move, so we're not as thick as we used to be. But we used to like have like battle of the sexes. That was like a thing we did every couple months at different people's houses, and we would all just come and argue about men and women relationships. Good times. Precursor to this.
Precursor, hello. You always been in this space.
Always
been always been crap. In this space, yeah. So I feel like for me, what's different or unique about my marriage is that my husband doesn't see like friendships the same way. He doesn't see friendship the same. Okay. Right? Where the people I consider friends, I believe are family.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I consider these people very important to me. I feel like I trust you with my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could leave the room and know that you would look out for my children. Okay, like, that is like what I consider friendships, right? There are people who are acquaintances, right? There are people who I'm developing relationships with, but like at the core, the people that I consider friends, I consider family. You know what I mean? And so for me, the weight I place these friendships is very different than the weight I would place like an acquaintance. And to me, I believe my husband views there's a clear delineation. This is your family.
Yeah. Like, there's blood running through the veins.
This is the blood. That's why it's the same. Yeah. That's why you look like this person. That's why I look like this person. And then there are your friends.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I said that's earlier in our relationship. I think that's how he viewed it.
Used to.
You know, he was used to that. Like, he was like, no. And then also, like, going back to that, what I discussed about just like the development of marriage, he did not understand that, like, we're married. So, like, there needs to be a converging of, like, we need to be coming together.
Yeah.
You might not be bringing people to the table, but, like, you now need to embrace these people
the people
over
that
here. I'm bringing to the table. And I think that was our hardest. That was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Really? Wow.
That was hard. And I think it was hard.
Yeah.
Oh, child, it was hard because
like getting him to envelope into the fold.
Yeah, because he was like, no.
You and your friends are like,
yeah.
Like,
and it was not as easy of a transition as I thought it was going to be. I was in La La Land, baby. I was in La La Land, not La La. I was in La La Land because in my mind it was going to be we're all one big happy family.
Yeah,
it was going to be date nights and this and that and like
double dates.
Yeah, it was going to be that. And my husband was like, he's like, nah. He's like, I am in my bubble.
Yeah, and I don't want to be bothered.
And I don't want to be bothered. This is like when we first, like especially when we first got together, and then when we first moved back. Because he wasn't in a space where he was ever here.
Yeah.
You know, so moving back was overwhelming for him.
Like,
it was just like,
what are we doing?
What is this? And why is there always something to do every weekend?
Nobody knows about the DMV social calendar. Are you kidding?
What?
It's something every
he was
weekend.
Like, why is there always something for us to do? You know, and so that was very hard in the beginning. Like, it was hard even for my friendships because I had friends who was like, your husband, like, did I do something? Did I offend him? And it was, and in learning, like, again, and like learning who he was and then him learning how important it was to me, we did have to be in the middle. Yeah. And I had to like reassure people, like,
I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to tell us.
Yeah, you and other people. You and other people.
Like, he would come in the room and I'd just be like,
hi, Dad.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know his voice until Reese. Like I was like, wait, why does he have an accent? You were like, you didn't know. I was like, I've never heard of it.
Right. Quiet.
Very quiet.
Didn't talk.
Very dignified.
Yeah,
like,
bye.
Very serious.
The one word.
I didn't know until Italy that I was a clown.
Yeah.
I didn't know
that. People be like, how did y'all, how?
I'm like, oh, he's funny.
Yeah. But he just needs it in microscopic doses.
Yeah, it's funny.
And me, I'm like, 50 people, come on over.
Hello, I'm MC Lara.
And he's like, nah. But give me like 5 to 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we good.
Sweet spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was a very hard transition. But I also had to learn about myself that, like, the same way he wasn't trying to change me, I can't
try to change
him.
Yeah.
I can't change him.
Yeah.
But there needs to be compromise because this is important to me.
Yeah.
And so that was where we had to come in. There was definitely a meeting of the middle. Like, we had to do that because I'm not going to say happy life, happy wife, but it was like, it was a theme that was constantly coming up.
Oh my God. We got to do an episode on themes.
Girl, it was a theme that was coming up. You know, and it was just like, for us to nip this in the bud, realizing friendships are important to me, but then also realizing that I'm not forcing you to now take on, you know, all of these friendships. I don't need you to do that, but I need you to understand why it's important to me. And now it's just like, he sees the girls and it's like, he joking, he throwing shade and all that now. But again, it required like those opportunities where it was like, micro levels of like the big things that were always happening, you know.
But that's good though. It's good that you were aware of that, and that he was even willing to do that, because he could have been like, "Oh no, babes, we ain't doing that. You gotta sit home. You gotta sit down."
Right, and that could have
said that.
And it goes back to boundaries, right? Like I think he was really respectful. Like he never, in all of my calendar filled with 5 events in one day, like he never was like, "Lara, you need to chill." He never did that. And in the same regard, like I also had to be respectful. Like, okay, like I cannot be dragging my husband up and down. Maryland, DC, and Virginia when that's not even his vibe.
Because one thing about you, Lara, if you're invited, you're going.
Is that so, Memi? Is that so?
Oh,
because I have extremely reduced that. You, on the other hand, Memi, you have had events in Baltimore,
Lara,
in DC, the same day. Tell me I'm lying.
I'm in shock.
Am I lying, Memi?
Hey,
Memi, am I lying?
Lara, so you won't even fess up to this?
Memi, no. I said back in the day, absolutely.
But when is back in the day?
Memi, this wasn't happening last year. Go ahead and lie. This wasn't happening last year. Not in 2022. Not in 2022 and not in 2023.
Oh.
Yeah. You, on the other hand, last week.
Friends. Okay, friends, confirm. Friends, get in the comments and confirm. Please, confirm.
In the chat.
If Lara has really slowed down on her social calendar.
At 110%.
I slowed down too. Since the pandemic, I slowed down.
Okay. Yeah. Lying. All right. Okay. So when we get to the gems, like we've been talking about the gems, but I think like at least the takeaways I think that are important to kind of discuss are, we need to make sure that we're being respectful of our spouse's privacy, and like that goes back to like the bashing and the and like what is shared. Because my thing is like, I can vent to you, but I can still protect my husband.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And I think at the root of it, that always needs to be like, even in your venting, you gotta protect your spouse.
Because think about it. Do you want your husband to go be venting about you and he's saying, "Oh, Memi, every single," and destroying you? Like, you don't want that. No, I would never. Like that would shatter me.
No.
If I knew that my husband was dragging me to his sisters or to his friends.
His sister. Oh my God, that's even worse.
That's the only person he would talk to about that is his sister.
Well, yeah, but still, and true, because I feel like I feel like our spouse. I mean, like my husband is very close with his sisters, and I'm very close with my siblings, you know, but I still feel like there's still a level of reverence I have for Tala, you know what I mean? I'm not going to like, even in my, it's still a level of like,
that's my man though.
Yeah, that's my husband. And like, this one little thing don't compare to the 50 things he doing right. You know what I mean? Like, I still go back to that.
Yeah, it's like you just have to be honest with yourself.
Right.
Like, I'm mad right now. But like you said earlier, I love what you said when you were like, you can't make decisions in this temporary moment that have permanent effects.
Permanent.
Right? Like, so just, again, so back to what you were just saying about the respecting the privacy and boundaries.
Yeah, and then I also think that it's important that like you understand that in marriage, most of the time, I won't even say most of the time, I don't want to generalize and say every time, that like there usually is like a network of people coming together. So your husband oftentimes is bringing his family and his friends, and your wife is oftentimes bringing her family and her friends. And there's got to be a healthy balance of marrying of the two. Yeah. Right? Like there's got to be a healthy marrying of the two, because what you want is a village.
Exactly. You nailed it. Like your children are having a birthday party. You want your uncles, you want your aunties, you want the whole family there. So it's like you don't want it to be like every time everybody gets together, it's like you're having to, oh, this is so-and-so, and this is like, and it gets to a point where everyone knows each other. Everyone cares about each other. Yeah. We're family.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. What other gems do you feel like are important?
Definitely feel like just finding, like we were talking about, finding the balance. Finding the balance between what's sharing too much, what's not sharing enough, what am I holding in too much to where it's affecting me emotionally. Like, do I need to have an outlet? If I don't have an outlet amongst me in my immediate circle, do I need to pay someone to be my outlet? Do I need to, just finding that balance that works for you in terms of your friendships. And my very last one is going to be, if your spouse is uncomfortable with your friendships, if that's not our situation, but if your husband or your wife is like, I'm not like him, I don't want you to go out with him no more, or go out with her no more, and that's someone that's important to you, and you don't feel like it's a friend that you can just drop, get to the bottom of that. Why? So what is it? That's why? Good. What's your problem with her? Is it because you do think I'm telling her about you? Do you think I'm bashing her to you? Or you to her? Or him? Do you think that I'm giving them more attention than I should be giving you? That's a really good one. Like, what's the foundation of your spouse not liking someone? Or that's good. Because it's typically, unless your spouse is not crazy, it's typically not, I just don't like her, or her. It's something there. So try to understand what that is and address that head on versus just feeling like you always have to be awkward when you're with with your friend. That's good. And I think that touches on something. I don't think we really talked about it a lot, but just, friendships I feel like friendships are, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like friendships, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Dang, I lost my train of thought when I did, but we'll come back.
Yeah, I'll come back to it. But I just feel like that was a really good one, because it's so important that, why don't I like this person, or why is something about this relationship making me uncomfortable? Exactly. Like, why? There's a reason. There's a reason behind it. We're why girls. We want to get to the bottom. Absolutely. Like, why? And then with that, and knowing that, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? And so, outside of just having those healthy conversations, outside of having those, my kids are home. And they don't care that we're recording. It's cool. We're gonna keep going. It's fine. Let's wrap up. Huh? We're gonna wrap up. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up. Luckily, we're at a healthy spot to wrap up. But what I was saying was just that, in times when like a person doesn't like a spouse or something like that, why is that? And then how are you? My kids messing up, y'all. Sorry, I'll finish up. So if you do get to the point where you feel like, they don't like me, or he doesn't like my friend, and she doesn't like my friend, try to get to the bottom of that and then deal with it from that angle. So back to your point, I really love what you just said. I think it's so important that when there's an issue in a friendship, right, you have to also recognize that this is your spouse, right? And so, yes, we're going to get to the root of it, and yes, we're going to talk about it and have healthy conversations, but there should really never be a situation where, like, you're choosing your friendship over your spouse. Oh, yeah, that's a fact. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it gets to that point and you have to make a decision, that's a problem. That's sticky. Yeah. So I do believe in healthy dialogue, and I do believe in, like, getting into the root of why you have an issue with my friend, or why this, like, hanging out with this guy or hanging out with this girl is an issue. But ultimately, your marriage is your safe space, and that ultimately takes precedence over everything. Yeah, it should. It should. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If it's healthy, if it's a healthy relationship, it should. And so making sure that it's not a situation of like, maybe you're spending too much time with this person, and that's why I have an issue. So recognizing those things, I think, is a super important takeaway. That yes, we can get to the root of it, but we need to also understand that, like, your marriage is first. Your marriage is priority. The marriage should be first, correct. So that's like my last gem, I would say, for today. Yeah, that was good. Especially, and I like the fact that you said a healthy marriage. Yes, obviously. Healthy marriage. Yeah, definitely. So, we thank you for staying with us with this crazy episode. But, at the end of the day, obviously, healthy friendships, we're promoting that. But we're also, at the end of the day, promoting healthy marriages. Yeah. Bottom line. Yeah. We want a merging of the two. Yeah. That's ideal. It's ideal. Obviously, not every relationship is like that, but that's what we want. Again, we want to thank you for watching and staying for this long episode. But at the end of the day, if you like what you saw, we want to make sure that we hear from you. We want you to like, we want you to comment and subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so you know when we're dropping an episode. And make sure you join our Peak Seekers community. You know, we drop gems all the time, our giveaways. You'll be the first to know about things that we're dropping, our merch that's coming. So as always, we want you to keep tuning in. This has been another episode of Chats from the Peak. My name is Lara.
My name is Memi.
And thanks for tuning in.
Bye.